team needs. What do you think the 49ers team needs are, and what do you think they should prioritize in the third round?
Edge, offensive line, and cornerback. Cornerback specifically, because they can find the safety, I think, and they've done a really good job of scouting the position. I mean, you look at Hufanga being late in the draft, and he's an All-Pro. I think cornerback specifically. Now, when it comes to this process, and I agree with you, Croc, I'm very new at the prospect evaluation portion of this, now that I'm doing content and everything. But I do enjoy looking at the third and fourth round people because it's forcing me to dig deeper, and it's forcing me to really take my evaluation to the next level. Because with round one guys, yes, there's a 50% chance they'll bust or they won't play, but you can see, right? Like who are, like,
as a prospect, they're much cleaner. Like you could just
that's a guy.
Like, okay, I see how this guy's game translates to the next level. Now, the system that they go in, his work ethic, that some of the things that we won't know, how he is off of the field, how does he treat the janitor, does he treat everybody with respect? Like those are things we don't know. So, he can get to the NFL and be an a-hole and not play well. And then, okay, you could be a bust. But let's say everything checks out and you watch the film, it's easy to say, oh, this is a first round talent. Third round guys, fourth round guys, we'll just say, late day 2 to day 3 guys, it's a lot harder to find very well-rounded guys that give you everything. And if they had everything, then they would go very high. So, for me, the way I see it is, I don't even like to use the word safe, but as we're talking about high, like third round, it's like, man, is there a receiver there? And the reason why I go to receiver, clearly that's not the need. You just pointed out the needs for the 49ers. You said offensive line, cornerback, edge rusher. I think we could throw tight end in there, as my guy Idris says. But a lot of these positions, O-line. We're the best O-linemen drafted. First round. Hard to find good O-linemen outside of that, unless we're talking about interior guys like a guard or center. All right. Edge rusher. Defensive end. Look, who are the top defensive end guys? They go in the top 10. Maybe you can get lucky with a late first round guy like TJ Watt, and then every once in a while you might find a Mason Crosby who was drafted in the 4th round, but that is extremely, extremely rare for edge
kicker rushers. Or Max Crosby.
Max Crosby.
I was going to say we're taking kicker. We're taking kickers in the 3rd.
My bad. I'm Mason Crosby, Max Crosby. You know what I meant though. So
yeah, of course.
I'm a little more weary on prioritizing offensive line, edge, or I should be more specific, offensive tackles and edge rushers in the 3rd round, because they are typically just not as talented. Whereas tight end, I think that's a good spot. But I think there's going to be probably a run on tight ends in the 2nd round. And then receivers. I mean, we see it every year. Guys going to really just day 2 in general, 2nd round, 3rd round, who end up being stars in the NFL. I think there are more day 2 receivers that are stars than any other position in all of football. So although it's not a big need for the 49ers as it pertains to value, and I'm really big on value, I think that's where, it's like, all right, let's kind of try to strike gold here. Real quick, I want to we got my guy Kelly Young in here, and he says Aaron Banks and Burford weren't first rounders. You're right, they weren't, and that's why Burford was rotating with Daniel Brunskill most of the season at right guard, and Aaron Banks didn't even play, couldn't even sniff the field as a rookie, had to really reshape his body, really work to eventually get on the field and be more of what they were looking for, and then he did a terrific job. So if you're, saying, again, and he's an interior guy, so again, you can find interior guys. Like I said tackles are really hard to find. Good, like the legit starting tackles are hard to find outside the first round. Maybe you can find them 2nd round. Interior offensive linemen, you can find those guys throughout the draft. Even if it's a guy that's a tackle, you move him to guard like they did with Spencer Burford. But again, even then, you see kind of what they've had to go through to potentially get on the field, as opposed to somebody that, day 1, I'm out here. Which those guys do. I mean, you can have those guys, but even then, it's still really tough for those positions.
My thing is this, Croc. Like, when you get to this 3rd round area, the best player available has to trump drafting for need there, because that's when you find yourself in a position where you're reaching for a guy because you have a need. And that's the thing, is a trade-up scenario only happens if there is a tackle or an edge rusher who's falling in the board for the 49ers.